Hey guys, so today I wanted to do a breakdown and analysis of the recent paranormal activity I've been capturing around my desk chair over the last month or so. Now, I noticed a few things in the most recent video specifically that I just wanted to bring to your attention, a few thoughts I had and a few conclusions I've drawn from it. And I know a few of you guys had some questions that you asked in the comments, and hopefully I'll address a few of them as I work through this breakdown. So jumping straight in with the first bit of activity that I noticed then was the orb. Now I know the orb versus dust debate is endless, and there's nothing I can really say that's ever going to stop it being a debate, because it depends on a case by case basis. I think an orb is only paranormal if there is enough evidence around it and supporting it to show that it's not a perfectly natural occurrence, that it isn't dust or a bug. And I think this is one of those cases, and a few of you might disagree with me, but I think this is probably one of the most definitive paranormal orbs that I've ever caught. And it's not because it swooped down and the K2 meter started going off or the REM pod started buzzing, although the REM pod did go off shortly after. It's the fact that it was caught on both cameras. Now if I slow these down and place them side by side, you can see that the orb comes into frame pretty much at the same time and then follows the same path. Now granted, you're looking at two different angles there, but that's kind of important to back up what I'm saying about it being paranormal and not dust. Now, dust only becomes circular like that if it's out of focus, right? So looking at the wide shot first, if that was dust, then it must be really close to the camera because the desk and the chair are in focus. But if we look at the close-up camera, we can see that that same ball of light is actually on the same plane as the chair. So looking back at the wide shot, now we know it's on the same plane as the chair. It's not because it's close to the camera that it's a ball, it must be something else. And so for me, I think that's a ball of energy, and that is the reason it's become circular. If it was a bug, you would be able to see it because it would be in focus. If it was dust, you wouldn't see it at all because it's so minute. And the same applies to the close-up camera. Looking at the two side by side, it must be between the desk and the chair, kind of in that little area between the camera and the chair, that this little ball of light's appearing. So that for me is why that's paranormal. Not to mention the fact that the REM pod does start going off shortly after. Now moving on to the Kinect figure then, the first one I would say is probably a glitch due to the fact that there is very little evidence of a humanoid shape within the depth map anomaly, and we know that the skeletal figure is just trying to fit that, so it kind of just looks like it's breakdancing, and I don't think that's much to go on. The second figure on the other hand, you can see quite clearly that there is a humanoid shape within that depth map, so I would definitely say that that one's more likely to be a spirit manifestation. Now what interests me about this particular skeletal figure is its relationship to the power REM, and a few of you guys asked the same thing. Why doesn't the skeletal figure stay visible throughout the entire power REM activity? The power REM starts going off, the skeletal figure appears, disappears, and then the power REM kind of continues throughout the whole thing. Now not to mention that, but it's not one continuous beep either, it's kind of broken up, which you would expect it would be continuous if something was practically sat on top of the antenna. Now, for me, what I took from that is that it requires a slightly different manipulation of the energy to cause that power REM to go off. Now, think about it this way, like an EMF meter is picking up on the electronic signals, whereas the antenna of a power REM or any kind of REM pod has its own electromagnetic field around it that has to be disrupted. So what if just simply going near it doesn't cause that to go off? Like maybe they actually have to focus their energy in order to disrupt that field. So that's kind of my theory. Either that, or it requires just a lot of energy to cause both devices to go off, to cause that skeletal figure to appear and the power REM to go off. So it kind of got so far through and just couldn't maintain its visibility on the Kinect, but continued to affect the power REM. So just a few theories I'm having, and obviously I don't have any definitive answers, but it is something quite interesting to think about. So let me know what you think about that. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about, and this is something that I kind of briefly touched on in my last Q&A, is the fact that there is sometimes in my videos, there are sounds in there that don't quite sync up with the activity on screen. So for example, the previous chair activity video, there was like what sounded like the air being released from the sponge, like when you sit down and like there is a slight creak of the chair, the air being released, but there is no depression, physically no depression in the sponge or the seat that would have caused that air. So this leaves me thinking, is it possible for them to create the sounds of objects moving without physically moving them? Like, so it happens all the time in my videos. So if an object moves, obviously that creates a sliding sound, or something gets knocked over, it creates a bang. But there are so many instances where I've heard these noises, but on camera there is nothing physically moving to cause them. Now I've always assumed that this is just something happening out of frame that I've missed. So you've heard the sounds and it's like, oh, that's interesting activity. It's a shame we didn't catch it. But now I'm starting to think that they might actually just be able to manipulate like the vibrations and create those sounds without the physical mass or movement needed. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand how that works. Don't get me wrong. I'm learning like you guys. So if there's anybody out there that understands like sound waves and the way energy affects that kind of thing, I would love to hear your opinions on it, because like I say, I'm a student as well. I'm constantly learning. I don't have all the answers. So if there is anybody out there that has any answers, feel free to drop in the comments and let me know, or message me on Facebook and we can kind of chat it out and see what we can come up with. So that's pretty much it for this analysis, guys. I hope I enjoyed it. I hope I did clear up some of your queries. I want to thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I'll post any and all activity as and when I get it.